Next paper is going to be by Rupa Bhattiji. It is on the topic of revisiting Agastya Vindhya lore with a new evidence from Parashara Tantra. This again, because it is connected to Parvatas, this has been sequenced that way. Rupaji will talk about that particular specific aspect of the Parvata lore in her paper. Rupaji.
Okay, thank you. So today's talk is on Agastya Vindhya lore in the light of new evidence from Parashar Tantra. But before that, I would like to thank and my humble and gratefulness to Indic Academy for giving me the opportunity to present this path-breaking and seminal paper on Agastya Vindhya lore. This is something very interesting to understand why myths have to be seen very carefully uh, in any of the texts available to us. Moreover, Agastya becomes more important to understand because Agastya is present in almost all the scriptures, including Ring Veda. So we will try to understand the evidence from Parashar Tantra and what has this implication on Agastya Vindhya lore in the light of new evidence. So beginning with that, I would say that all the stories in Itihasa or Puranas, are they true or untrue? Uh, what kind of philosophical underpinnings are there? What kind of factual observations are with them? We will try to understand this today. So before that, we should understand what is myth actually. There's so many different observations made by different authors and researchers that myth is something which has not to be believed. Now, this has become a quite synonymous to unbelieving thing should be the myth and which cannot be decoded, which cannot be understood. But myth is a set of knowledge for remembrance. Why these stories makes Homo sapiens different from animals? Why the language makes us different from animals? Because we have these shrutis, we have this remembrance with us, and that goes on from generations to generations that come to us. So myth basically is the Western word coming from Greek mythos, the word which means an authoritative pronouncement. It doesn't mean mithya, it doesn't mean something untrue, but it is an authoritative pronouncement which goes on to generation and it comes to us as it is, what was sought in the initial days by our ancestors. Therefore, it never looks for proof. So, myth stands in opposition in these days, which the sophists were the first to point out, and that is why they introduced the word logos. Now, the logos, a word, the truth of which is established by rational argument. This is something very equivalent to our Nyaya system, where the logicians would argue for two types of remembrance. The myth metamorphoses into just a story which is not true. So, this is how the transformation is going on about the word myth. But initially, mythos legin was something to tell these myths, and initially, this word was meant as an authoritative pronouncement that should not be uh, distorted, that should not be challenged, that should be taken as it is for the generation next. Peter Hayes goes on in his seminal paper about mythologies, and he creates one new word, mythistry. That is something with artistic proofs, which is now known as logos, which was introduced by the sophists. So, how many types of myth we understand, like divinized form of early history, is the mythology. Myth can be defined as any set of unexamined assumption, something which is not being examined for a long time, and that is why it becomes more and more uh, uh, confusing and more appears to be untrue kind of a thing. Uh, just like Rigvedic myth of Urvashi and Pururavas, where she's the celestial damsel and she's giving birth to Agastya and Vashishta. So these kind of myths become something very uh, popular with the sense that how can it happen? So the factual history is actually interfused with these unexamined assumptions. So the myth to be the symbol of infinite, this is also understood by the word myth. These are few of the findings which I have given with respect to different researchers, and they have expressed their views what the myth and mythologies mean to them. Uh, you can read that in my seminal paper when it gets published there. So, what kind of myths? Origin myths are there. It is there in India also, as well as in all over the world. Theogonic myths, cosmogonic myths, anthropogonic myths, where the transformations also happen. Uh, Astral myths, transformation myths, soteriological myths, eschatological myths, something which deals with salvation as well as the end of the world, something of the best biblical revelations which got reflected into our Narayana books also, where if you are a sinner, you will be boiled in a pan of oil or something like that. So these myths also appear in many of our texts, as well as in the internationally viewed texts. We will today be discussing one astral myth, Agastya Vindhya Lore. So this astral myth, uh, why it becomes an astral myth is also a big question. So that we will try to solve. So in the Puranic story, that tells us that the Vindhya mountain tried to compete with the Himalayas in height by becoming uh, by becoming taller and taller, and people became afraid that it may obstruct the path of sun. So something very interesting that nothing on the earth can obstruct the path of sun, but it is trying to tell uh, invariably about the ecliptic path of the sun. So they approached sage Agastya, who was the guru of the Vindhyas. As Agastya arrived, the Vindhya mountain prostrated before him in reverence. The sage said that he was going south and that the mountain should lie prostrated till he returned. But the sage never returned, thus laying the Vindhyas flat forever. Further, Sri K.D. Abhyankar, this is from just from from Sri K.D. Abhyankar's seminal paper, uh, which is already published and very much famous as Folklore of Agastya and Vindhya. There he again, I should give him the credit because he was the first person to understand that probably the Agastya star was named due to the sage Agastya. And he says, if sage Agastya was the first to cross the Vindhyas from the north, he would have been the first northerner to see the star. Hence, the star has been named after him, just as the Magellanic clouds in the southern sky are named after the navigator Magellan, who first saw them as he sailed southward. So let us understand, as very beautifully Dr. Vidyuta said about Parvata and Parvatamalas, uh, we will try to understand what Vindhya actually means. So, as I said, that Agastya is found in every scripture, including Rig Veda. This can be I have put here. So this story can be read everywhere in various Puranas. So let us understand now Parvata. Going back to Dr. Vidyuta's paper also. So in Sanskrit, Parvata is very interesting to understand that it is known. It also means height. So something which is used to measure a height. So what kind of a height a Parvata would be measured in context with the sky? Supposingly, if we want to understand what K.D. Abhyankar tried to say. So let us understand that. So Parvata means height, and you can see that Agastya is reprimanding Parvata to lay prostrated. Now we are trying to image the whole situation here. So now Agastya is reprimanding Parvata, that is Vindhya. Now, suddenly, we see that Sri K.D. Abhinkar introduced a Rishi star Agastya there, just above the Parvata. And he says that it must be the first time when he was going south, he saw this star, and this star was named as Agastya. So we have Sage Agastya, that is Muni Agastya, and we have now Rishi Agastya. So there are two Agastyas here, which is not mentioned in any Purana, in fact. So there is only one Agastya who was going south, and he reprimanded the mountain, and he went to south, and then he lived in the south only. So what does this understand? So let us see what Parashar Tantra has to say. Shrutupurvaste Prithvyam Mayeru Mandara Atirikta Prabhava Shailarad Vindhyonam. So, and with the help of his own Bala, Swavirya Balamuchrai, Vishesham in Mashavano, Divyam Varsha Sahasramogram Tapastete. So for the thousands of years, with its own Bala, it was rising. So it says something like that. And we see suddenly this memory, which was only having the physical Agastya, suddenly we see that now uh, one more Canopus star is being introduced. So now this mythology is becoming little distorted, and now it is becoming and coming towards the folklore. So now it is no more a myth, but has become a folk tale. And that is why the paper was all about folk tale of Agastya, folklore of Agastya and Vindhya. But Agastya is known as Bhagwan Vishnu in one of the Puranas. So Agastya suddenly now remembered as a physical human crossing Vindhya in the Puranas and Itihasas. But the factual history here got interfused with the unexamined assumption because that was not examined what kind of Agastya was moving. And it remained for thousands of years. It was not examined properly, not even with the help of Nyaya or logicians. Nobody held this story very important to be understood. So the philosophical underpinnings started coming up, and this factual observation became a myth. And this myth, with the help of ethnopsychology, became a folk tale or a folklore. But as I said, that Prithivya Meru Mandara Atirikta Prabhava, Shailarad Mindyona, it is very interesting to understand that Prithivya Meru Mandara. So Meru, in the sense, since Parashar Tantra is a astronomy treatise book, Meru Mandara will also mean the slowness of access. So it is talking about the axial precision. And Tataha Swambhuva Agastyanama Maharshi Aneka Varsha Sahastram Sambhuttataya Dhyatah Kashta. And in the last it says, Sa Esho Agastyaha Shaila Vriddhi Vyaghat Nimittam Na Pratyeti Dakshinasyam Udeti Tasyam Ev Astam Gachatiti. So now the hypothesis of Sri K.D. Abhinkar here, that if sage Agast was the first to cross the Vindhya from the north, get absorbed here, get completely uh, get completely understood that this is not talking about the physical Agastya, because physical Agastya will not go south and rise and set in south. So what does Parashar Tantra say? It gives us an evidence that Agastya was rising and setting in south, and it is talking about star Agastya. So now the problem that was created with sage Agastya, Vindhya, and Star Agastya, introduction of Star Agastya, now we understand that it is only talking about the Star Agastya, which was going from the northern latitudes towards the southern latitudes because of its sinusoidal nature of visibility of the Canopus star from different latitudes of India. It suddenly makes sense. Let us see, let us animate this, that how it would appear. So as I said, Parvata means height, either height of star or height of a landform, which is known as Parvata. Suddenly, a star is being seen after lapse of 2 to 3,000 years, which is being continuously seen, and you will see that it is coming down. But in the relative sense, you will feel by observing the star that mountain range is rising. And suddenly you will find that, oh, mountain has risen so much that the star, it is just now touching the star. So this is the observation of the in the relative sense. So one has to understand why Parvata, a height, can be a tool to measure even the declination and right ascension of a star. So they were using these methods of observation, which we now have uh, in scientific language. We say the right ascension and declination of the star. And suddenly, you will see that Agastya Canopus is now touching Vindhya, and you will see that one more star has come up on the horizon very near to Agastya, which is known as Mrigavyada, that is Sirius. After some point of time, you will see that Mrigavyada is only seen from the Vindhya mountain, and Agastya has now gone down the below the horizon. Now it is not seen from that latitude, and that is why now there is one more star which is now seeing the height of Vindhya and is making sure that it doesn't rise. So Agastya, after crossing into the southern latitudes, Vindhya now is not rising with the help of relativity, with the help of relative sense of the height of the mountain. Now let's see what does this have the implication on Vindhya range. So very interesting. Uh, that was the last station which I showed you. The Vindhya range is the last station where always Mrigvyad will be visible. It will never go down from there. It will always be visible there. So you will see that it comes from root Vyad. So both the things come from the same root, Vindhya also and Vyadha also, that is hunter and piercer. So something which is piercing the Indian geography was known as Vindhya. Something which was measuring the actual precision was also known as Vindhya. So that is why we have Orion, the hunter constellation. Uh, uh, and with the help of Orion, we have Mrigashesha, Mrigavyadha, and then we have Sirius as Indra, and that is why we have Agastya, Agastya also known as Indra Bahu. So all are interconnected, the three belt stars, then Sirius, and then Agastya. So because of this connection, they all become a hunter group constellations. So now we understand why this range was named as Vindhya, because it was the last station of Mrigavyada, and from there it was taken care of that Vindhya Parvat doesn't rise with the help of Agastya. So this was nothing but the declination change, and that is why we see such kind of mythologies also evolving out of these astral myths. So what is happening? We can just see that uh, from Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra is the last uh, mm, uh, latitude where the Agastya will be seen. So after Kurukshetra, it comes down. When it was in Kurukshetra, it was 26,000 BC. So since we now understand that this Agastya is not a physical Agastya, but it is a star Agastya. So now the dates will completely change. Now, when it was on the latitude of Kurukshetra, that was 26,000 BC. When it came to the latitude of India, it was happening in 19,000 BCE. And when it came to Chidambaram latitude, it was almost 13,000 BCE. And it again reappeared on that latitude because below Chidambaram, Agastya was always visible. And one more evidence come to our rescue is from the Ramayana, where Mahendragiri again, Mahendragiri is coming as Dr. Vidyuta ji just happened to say that there are some differences about Mahendragiri. But I would also quote Sri Sai Pepini ji, who said that for every reason we will have to go back to Bhudevi, we will have to go back to Mother Earth to understand what kind of stories are hidden that I'm adding onto it. that there are many stories, geographical stories are also hidden in our Puranas, and we need to see them with a different lens. So what does it says? Tataha samudra asadya sampradaya artha nishchayam agastyen antare tatra sagare viniveshitaha. So just the sage Agastya once spent its one end in the ocean and the other end is now visible. That august and best one among all mountains will be completely golden with marvelous terrace and trees. So this sentence that sage August once spent at one end in the ocean and the other end is now visible makes you understand that the star August is now visible in the Ramayana times. And that is why it corroborates that Brahma Rashi is Vega. So supposingly Brahma Rashi was not Vega, then Agastya could not have been seen from this Mahendragiri, but it could have been seen from anywhere else in India. So this corroborates the two pole star conditions of Ramayana also. So we have the memory of Agastya crossing Vindhya, and we also have a connecting memory that it was rising and setting in south. Now it has become a pole star, and it is now rising and setting in south. So let us understand the geography. The Agastya Malai biosphere, that is the astronomy's geography, is hidden. So here the whole range is named as Agastya Malai. Why? Because every time Agastya was seen from this horizon, and it never eloped from this geography. And that had the impact of the name as Agastya Malai. Even in Lakshadweep, there is an Agatti Island. So these all geographies below Chidambaram was dominated by the star Agastya, which came into a very different kind of lores of Agastya Kaveri and many more, which are still being studied by me. And that will also reveal too many truths about our Puranas. So the Agastya declination at different epochs, I have shown this chart where I have shown that it starts from Kurukshetra, it crosses Vindhya, it comes to Chidambaram, and again it is a sinusoidal nature. It again start rising from Tiruchirappalli. Again it rises from Vindhya, that is 5000 BC around. It was rising towards Vindhya, 5 to 6000 BC. That also corroborates the Mahabharata time, and it again will be appearing till Katwa this time. So the post-star conditions. So suddenly you will find that when this lore is being now deciphered completely, you will find the connections. Now in Rig Veda it is said that man by man Agastya is rising. So it is a post-star condition beyond 38,000 BC. So man by man it was rising, and it also shows that Vedic people were connected with the southern people also, or maybe the Vedic people were going till the southern tip of India to access and to understand the whole geographical situation as well as the actual precision situation of the star. And suddenly you will make sense about all the names of Agastya, like Kumbha Sambhava. It is making the celestial globe complete by making the 26,000 years of precision of actual precision. So once it became a pole star, again now it is seen till Kurukshetra. Again, it had become a pole star during the times of Rig Veda, where it has been recorded as Agastya. And very interestingly, Man also means measure. So Agastya is known as Man. Agastya is known as Mandarya. That is a very slowly moving star, which has been recorded in Rig Veda itself. So we have now connectivity that at some point of time it was rising man by man, and it reached till Kurukshetra, and again it came back to Vindhya, and now the southern course is remembered, and after that we don't have any memory of this rising up. But still a faint memory is there um, in Mahabharata that Kuru kings took a voyage for finding the Agastya region that can be accessed in Mahabharata very well. But suddenly, do we have any clue to whether after Man by Man rising, when it was going down from Kurukshetra, do we have any evidence? Yes, we have an evidence in Gemini Brahmana where it is said that now Agastya, after seeing all his mentors going to heaven, he felt now he should also leave Kurukshetra and should go to heaven. So this is the fact that after understanding the Parashar Tantra, which is being translated by Sri R.N. Iyengarji, I give full credit to him. Not because of this book, we couldn't have achieved this feat of understanding Agastya as a pole star, or Agastya being a star itself, because all the lords are so human, so physical, that one cannot relate which is the Agastya Muni or which is the Agastya Rishi. And it is very interesting to note that Valmiki in Ramayana says Muni Agastya and Rishi Agastya. So he completely creates that line between these two Agastyas and used in this beautiful poetry of Ramayana. So now that we know, now that we understand that when Agastya was leaving Kurukshetra, means that it was going towards the down latitudes, and its visibility was eloping from the upper latitudes, and it was going down. It crossed Vindhya. It came to the Chidambaram latitude, and after that, the whole latitude was known below Chidambaram as Agastya Malai, and we can understand very well that why the Agastya has the impact on the geographies as well. Now, is the factual history got interfused with the unexamined assumptions when examined with Parashar Tantra concludes Agastya to be the Canopus star? This event memory is coming from 1900 BCE. Thank you. I will be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Rupaji. You made my day. I consider myself to be lucky to be present in this session. Amazing level of analysis. Most of these things appear so intertwined. This kind of information, astrological, astronomical information, and narrative information. And we keep saying that probably such an intertwining has happened, but they, like hair, they get so intertwined that to resolve them, to split them into parts and again look into those details, it takes enormous amount of patience and enormous amount of investigation, research that has to go into this, and you have taken all the pains to do this kind of work. Thank you very much. And there is praise for you from none other than Sai Papineti himself. He is saying, very good, Rupaji, Agastya and Canopus, way to go. Amazing. And Professor Parthasarathi wants to comment about this.
Yes. Thank you, madam. Your paper is very nice.
Thank you.
But let me put a different dimension on this particular subject. That is, Mahabharata and other Puranas also say one important additional information. The sun was not able to cross Vindhyas because it was so high. If you remove the word, as you have also mentioned, the height of the Vindhyas, it reference a different aspect. But let us take anybody in any part of the world, I mean northern hemisphere, knows sun's rays come. No problem. Some 6 months. But why every Puranas and Mahabharata says sun is not able to cross? So there is one theory that's called axial tilt theory. The axis of the earth is now 23.5 degrees. It switches from 22.5 degrees to 26.5 degrees to a period of 25,000 years. So this Agastya star is in the southern hemisphere. So Vindhya is about 23 degree and 22 degree and 30 minutes. So it is almost before the period of Agastya, or before he identified as a rishi who identified the phenomenon. The sun was in the southern hemisphere, that is axis was less than 23 degrees. So sun has not crossed. Every year it comes, he was not able to cross Vindhyas. But after that, as you have said, he has crossed and he goes up to 26 degrees. That is the Delhi region or
Kurukshetra.
Kurukshetra region. 2600 degrees he moves. And then he returned. You have followed the pattern of the Agastya star, which is on par with the axis tilt theory. So probably our forefathers know the axis tilt theory also in this, and
Exactly.
acknowledging this, they have given credit to Agastya, the sage
Yes.
Agastya, because most of the stars are named after rishis only. And there is one article I read where the author has said the rishis were the great astronomers, and so most of the stars are given the names of rishis, except one or two. So this moves, it coincides with the axial tilt theory. And you have beautifully explained that axial tilt theory with reference to the Agastya star and its movement. Thank you, madam. It's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations for that wonderful paper, Rupaji. This was very, very excellent. Uh, Actually, there are studies on Puranas from astronomical point of view. One Narayana Iyer has published 2 volumes of studies on Indo-Aryan mythology. The book is called Indo-Aryan Mythology, and it's an astronomical study of most of the mythical narratives of Puranas. He identifies some of the divinities like Kumara, for example. There is a whole article on how Kumara, in fact, is a star constellation. Uh, and most of the myths are interpreted that way. But what happens usually is there is an extreme position taken by the writers. If one takes an astronomical position, it is always astronomical only, and it turns out to be reductionist to do that way. But you were more diligent, you were careful to distinguish between the physical figure and the star figure. And as Professor Parthasarathy was pointing out, yes, those probably the physical person his name was used to name the constellation or something like that. Such resolutions have to happen without actually taking the extreme position that everything is either astronomical, everything is either geomorphological, everything is either purely ethnical, physical, anthropological. So the travel of Agastya has to be Dravidian. Basically, it has to be a Dravidian travel from the Aryan area to the Dravidian place. So these have to be resolved the way you have done. Uh, People have to be as diligent as you were in this paper to resolve all these intertwined issues.
Okay.
There is Shivaji is Shivakumar is saying, are there any other implications of the distinction between Rishi Agastya and Muni Agastya?
Actually, it appears to me with the help of etymology, I've already included in the paper that na gachati iti aga, and with the help of stay, sanghate. So these two words make word Agastya. So it itself is saying that it is a pole star. So Agastya means a pole star, first of all. Then do we find any other evidence that Agastya is a pole star? So we come to the Amara Kosha, Namalinganushasana. There it says that Dhruv Otana Padihi Syat Agastya Kumbha Sambhava Maitra Varuna Syev Lopamudra Sadharmani. So that means again this Agastya is coming in a Dhruva Shloka. So you will find very interesting that the commentators in today's time who are writing Amar Kosha, I had a hard copy. Unfortunately I lost that. In that he said that Dhruv and Otanpadi is pole star. Rest of them are stars, because now it has gone into so deep antiquity that our people, our bhashyakaras, our commentators are not able to understand why Agastya, Lopamudra, Mitra Varuna, Kumbha Sambhava are mentioned in the Dhruvotan Padishlok. So the whole synonym is about its being a pole star. So with the help of etymology, with the help of Amarkosha, with the help of lexicographers, everything points that Agastya was a pole star. So definitely it was rising and setting in south, so it was a pole star. Now you will find a very interesting thing that I'm addressing to Shiv Kumarji now. In Ramayana, the Nasik area, in the Nasik area now Agastya Ashram is there. And Rama goes there and meets sage Agastya and his brother also. So the implication is a lot, because after what I said about the Vindhya range, and as Parthasarathy ji said about the tilt. So because of the earlier tilt, when it was having a 24 degree or 24.5 degree north, during that time, the Tropic of Cancer was passing through, uh, say, Vindhya range. And that is why we have Vishnu Pada. That is why we have Gaya Tirtha. These Tirthas are very ancient. Uh, Now you understand why Agastya is not there on Vindhya during Ramayana times. The Agastya ashram is there in Nasik. So it was there measuring the change in declination of Sirius star. That is the Mrigavyada. So you would be amazed that in the earlier times, now Agastya and Sirius are coming very nearer. And after 60,000 years, Sirius will become the pole star. So, but since it has a very high proper motion, but the Agastya is so discrete star that for last 2 lakh years, it has not changed its position much. So it is such a discrete star, and because of that star, probably our Vedic people were measuring the actual precision, and that is why they named the Kumbha Sambhava, because that is making a complete actual precision celestial globe and actual precision in a complete form. So the implication is very much the Rishi and Muni, the Muni and Rishi, these are completely demarcated by Valmiki Ramayana, by Valmiki in Ramayana. And that we can see because once they started towards more south from the Nasik, they now confront a small ashram there in Mahendragiri. And there they say that now the Agastya is seen and now that we can go towards Lanka. So that is completely pointing towards the southern portion, not southeastern. That has another implication on the geographical understanding of Lanka. But there are proofs, and we need to see through the lens that yes, the Rishi Agastya. So if you go to the Nirukta, you will find, and since Agastya is mentioned in Rig Veda, then you will have to find out what the word Rishi means. So Rishi means Rajju, the Rashmya, one which pulls. So it also then by the commentators that has been specified for rishis also, those who pull the senses. So the rishi is the one who pull your senses towards him. He captures your attention towards you. So that is how this Rajju, the invisible Rajju is working. Invisible Rassi is working, rope is working. So with the help of Nirukta, you can definitely understand what Rishi means. And with the help of Valmiki Ramayana, you can understand there is a stark difference between Rishi Agastya and Muni Agastya. So I hope that answer serves.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I saw in your bio that you are in the field of architecture, and there has been until even 17th century there was a strong lineage of astro architecture, and sages like Vidyaranya were astro architectural experts, and we have many temples which are constructed from the astro architectural knowledge. So that is for another day. Let us have a discussion on such things. Wonderful, great.